This section heading is called Upgrade Preparations. So what we're going to do within this section is we're going to perform a bunch of precautionary steps that should be performed before you actually upgrade your cluster. The steps that we're going to perform are outlined down here. So now when performing these steps, we're going to do so from our master node, which contains our master daemons. So the first thing we're going to need to do is to establish an SSH session to it. So I'm going to type SSH to support at master. And now the first command that we're going to execute on here is just to verify the current version that we're running within the cluster. And we can see that we're running Hadoop version 1.2.1. Next thing I'm having you do within the lab is to take a look at the management scripts that come with Hadoop, and in particular to take a look at two scripts that you can stop either the Dfs daemons or the MapReduce daemons. So we're going to use both of these scripts. The first one that we're going to execute is this stop mapper.sh. So we're going to stop all the MapReduce daemons, as well as if we had any client applications running, and this is to prevent any changes to the file system before we actually perform our upgrade. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to redirect a bunch of command outputs to files, and hence the reason we're not stopping Dfs daemons, because we wouldn't be able to essentially get those command outputs unless we had those daemons running. So we're going to redirect a bunch of command outputs to files. We're going to compare them both before and after the upgrade, and this will help us to determine whether or not we can access everything after the upgrade. Alright, so the first command output that we're going to redirect to a file is going to be the Fsck command, and we're going to start from root, and what we want to see is we want to see all the files, we want to see all of the blocks, and we want to see their locations. And we're going to redirect this into a file. Now the file naming convention is going to be formatted as such. So we're going to say DFS, and it's going to be of version old. And after the upgrade, we're going to call them of version new. And this is going to be for the Fsck command, and this is version 1, and we're going to put this into a log file. So this is going to help us to see if we're missing any files or blocks inside of HDFS. And if we cat that file, we'll be able to see what we're talking about in there. Now, up here is where we can actually see the files, the blocks, and, like I said, their locations. Alright, so now the next command output that we're going to redirect to a file is the LSR. So this is essentially going to store our file system tree. So it's going to be dfs-lsr, and we want to do this from root once again, and again that naming convention. So DFS of version old, and then this is the LSR output, LSR, and it's going to be version 1.log. And then if we cat this, we should see our file system tree within there. And if you look at the documentation, it's going to refer to this as our namespace. Okay. And now the next one that we're going to do is we're going to put in the Dfs Admin Report inside of a file. And this is going to give us a bunch of statistics, again, that we can compare before and after. So it's going to be Hadoop, and then Dfs Admin report, and we're going to put this into DFS v old report, and then 1.log. And then if we cat that, we'll be able to see those statistics. And that's DFS report log. Okay. So now the next thing we're doing here is we're just ensuring that our checkpointing files are backed up. So just in case something goes awry here, we can actually access the data inside of HDFS. So now these files, first I'm having you take a look inside of Hadoop's configuration file to see the locations as to where these files are stored. So we're going to we're going to cat user local Hadoop, and then inside of conf we want the HDFS site XML file. So inside of here you're going to see that we're storing these in two locations. One is a backup, and we're going to copy them out of one of these directories. But what I'm having you do is just to list both so you can see that the checkpoint files are in fact stored in these two locations. So I'm going to list, and we're going to list both of them with one command here. So I'm just going to copy this out and then come over here, paste this in. Okay, so our checkpoint files are stored inside the current and image directories over here, and here you can see both of the paths where we're storing both of those directories. And now we're going to copy them from essentially these two directories to a directory that we're going to create. Now I'm going to create this off of temp. So if we list off of temp, you're not going to see a backup directory. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a parent directory. So mkdir is going to be a parent directory because we're going to essentially make two directories. So we're going to create backup, and then we're also going to create name for name node. Now we're going to copy, and if I do this again, we can confirm that we see the backup directory. Now we're going to copy the checkpoint files, both of those directories, into the name directory. And we're going to do that by typing copy. This is going to be recursive because we have two essentially full folders, and we want to copy them into data, data1, dfs, name node, and then we want to copy two directories. So the two directories that we want to copy, and again we're going to use those curly braces for this, it's going to be current, and let me get rid of this space over here. We want to copy current and then also the image directory. And then curly brace, and then we're going to copy this to the directory name that we just created, backup and then name. Alright, so now we'll use the tree command to verify that both of those directories are there and the files contained within. So we're going to type tree, and then it's temp, backup, name. Inside of there you can actually see the directories as well as the contents within the directory. Alright, so now the last thing we're doing here is we're going to stop all of the DFS daemons. Stop dfs.sh.